Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm putting the door back in the Elan. I am also putting the door back together. What you can expect to see today, it's the fitting of the glass onto the door, fitting and gluing back together this aluminium backing for the stop bobbins onto the glass. I'm also planning to fitting back the door with an extra couple of wires. To be precise, 3 wires. I'm adding 2 wires for the speakers because I now have an amplifier and I'm running thicker wires for the sound. I'm also adding 1 wire which is used for the light that I have installed in the door to light the floor as you open the door. Other things that you'll also see in this video, it's the fitting of these, I don't know the name of this, but this is the rubber, the other seal, the weather seal from the outside. So all of these are going back in, the little strip which needs to be riveted. So it's basically a situation of putting the whole door back together, and once the door is all back together, the door goes back in the car, and I'm going to fit also the plastic trim around it, which is a trivial task. So with all of that said, I think we're bound to get started, I guess. So the first thing I've got, it's the glass here. I have it all wrapped in bubble wrap because while I was doing everything else in the car I just had to store it somehow. It's very dirty, so first thing I'm going to do is clean the glass a little bit. Now that the glass is a little bit cleaner, what I'm going to do is fit in the stop bobbins. Here I have the backings of the stop bobbins, the aluminium plates for it. And the way I'm going to fit them, it's using polyurethane adhesive. What I'm using is Puraflex 40. I've used this before around the car and I'm fairly happy with it. So the plan for me is to just put a dab of the Puraflex in my thingies and then line them correctly. Trying to center it as much as I can, and as you see, as I'm squeezing in, the Puraflex is actually spreading. And now just to make sure that it's perfectly lined up, I'm putting my stop bobbin on top and then removing the stop bobbin, cleaning up the excess, and then do the same on the opposite side. I can't fit the stop bobbins now because if I fit them now, and they first of all they will glue themselves to a Puraflex, which is a bad idea. However, the reason why we really can't do it, it's because if I fit the stop bobbins now, I won't be able to put the glass back in the car. So what I'm going to do is actually do all of the work on the other side. So I need to put the lock back in, and the other things I have to do are around here, which is basically to route in new wire. I have this here that I need to remove and put back in. This is my ghost light. It's been sprayed over, so I need to remove the overspray. Need to put the lock, but the difficult bit to do actually is the wiring. So let's start with the wiring, and the wiring it's going to just force me into an annoying position. I'm gonna see if I can potentially pull the rubber grommets all out. Okay, so I've got the wires here from the sides and they connect all together here. Then there's a grommet here, and all of these wires are in the same sleeve as well, which has been electrically tested. Clearly, and it's been tested again, so maybe there has been some fiddling about in my car from the factory. And now I know that what I want to do is effectively put 3 new wires through all of these sleeves. this sleeve is just doesn't allow enough space for new wires. So what I'm going to do is remove the sleeve, or cut the sleeve, and then put a new sleeve back in. I should have electrical sleeves for this. Okay, so it turns out that I don't have enough electrical sleeve. I don't have electrical sleeves wide enough to replace this. So instead of cutting this one out and putting a new sleeve, which I don't have, what I'm going to do is just put the new wiring around it and then cover it with electrical tape. I will have to push everything back up to there and here as well to then slide the grommets back in. Here I have my speaker wire and purple wire. I use purple wire for this specific scenario because I'm going to connect this purple wire to another purple wire in the car. So I'm keeping the color coding. I know the color coding in the car actually has a meaning. So I don't remember now off the top of my head, but I believe that the purple wire is a wire with power that which has been fused, and it's for auxiliary systems of the car, which is exactly what I'm going to do. So this is an auxiliary system, it's not a vital system, and this is the power that it's going to trigger it. The ground for it is going to be provided by the door latch mechanism, which does the ground. So everything works fine. I'm just sticking to the same color scheme because, well, it just makes my life easier once I have to look at things back later. It also makes it, once I write it down on my copy of the book, it's easy to refer back in a couple of years if an issue happens. Okay, so this is the tricky part. When I did this on the other side, it actually took me a couple of hours, but now that I figured out the technique, I can do it very easily. So the technique is just to merge, to push these, compress this as much as possible, and move it as far to the inside of the car as possible, and then try to just push it along, because if you try to force the wires through it, they won't go. So now all I have to do is just push this one back so that it fits back in there, and then it plugs again. So that is the difficult part of it. Now the easy part of it is to route the speaker cable through this other grommet. Okay, so now that the wires are in place, I'm not going to put any electrical tape here. I just don't see the need for it. I'm going to put the door back in the car, and then let's see what's the next step. So what I'm going to do is basically take this out, take these little pins out, both of them. I'm going to actually fit new of these, hopefully this is in focus, of these clips. I'm going to move the clamshell out of the way and then put the door in. So that's the two thing is aligned. So I just need to tap on those two now to fit them and then clip in the other bit. So I'm using my copper hammer here. So as you see, I'm already able to move the door, but I can't do much movement because of this. So this needs to be fitted in. I sure hope that the camera got that. There's a very good chance that it didn't. Anyway, yeah, so this is the thing that stops it from opening the door too much. Just needs to be aligned. And the only thing missing is the clips. So just going to see if I can do this and show it to the camera. And this is how to film the second clip, the one that is upside down. So now that the door is installed, the next thing that I need to do is install the weather strip. The reason I have to install the weather strip before I put the glass on is because a few of the connectors of the weather strip are actually in front of the glass. So you're gonna put the weather strip first and then the glass. So I'm gonna get started with that now. Okay, so here I have my weather strip. It needs some cleaning, but it doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is line it up with the edge out here. There, and then push it as far down as it goes. And the next thing, it's just to screw everything if possible. So it's a bit unfortunate, but it's very difficult to film this. But yeah, I just need to screw everything from here. And there are some of these spots where there's no hole aligned, so I need to drill new holes for those and then screw through. The fiberglass is metal on this side, and there's fiberglass, then metal, then a bit of a void, and then the outer edge fiberglass. So if you're careful, you can actually drill through this without damaging the outside. So what I'm going to try to do is that, and I'm going to tighten whatever holes line up for now. I do have one over there that lines up. I'll set the camera in a position that works, and then screw that one, and take it from there. Hopefully after the first one is in place, aligning the rest is easy. Okay, so I now have the weather strip finally done. This took me 3 hours to do because of the recording, otherwise it would have been a 30-minute job. But I just wanted to get really close shots of every single one of these, just to give you an idea of where they are located, and sometimes you need to drill new holes, sometimes you need to try different screws until you find the right size. And now that the weather strip is done, I'm going to move on to fit in the glass. This is a bit of a tricky job, so it's going to take a while, and I reckon that we're going to have a time lapse here. The only thing that I really can say is that I'm tightening this bolt, but just enough so that the rail is as close to the inner side of the door as possible, but I can still wobble it to make it easier to fit. In my experience, it's always very difficult to put the glass back in the car, so I try to avoid doing that as much as possible. So here goes. Okay, so that was easier than expected. Both thingies are lined up with the rails now, and all I have to do is align the rest of the door with its stop bobbin, or the slide up and down bobbin. That sound you just heard, that was the stop bobbin just connecting in. So now all I have to do is just align it, and unfortunately I cannot show you the video, I cannot show you the footage of fitting that, but effectively the stop bobbin is there in place, and now I just need to clip this and then the glass won't be able to come out. That is, in practice, the glass fitted. Now I can move on to do what I should have done before I did the glass, which is the connectors for the electrics. Okay, so now I have a camera on the inside and one camera on the outside, and I'm putting the fuse box aside just so that you get a better view, although pushing the fuse box aside is not really required for this, but it does help a little bit. So the hole where things need to go is this one. I already have the speaker's wire is coming through here, but this actually is the this is the guide wire for the other side. So I'm gonna route the wires through first, and then I will put the two ceiling plugs. I don't think that the camera captures what the difficulty, the other difficulty with this, which is the fact that the two holes, the inner and the outer side, don't actually line up. So the one on the inside is higher up than the one on the outside, which makes the whole task a little bit trickier. But this is actually doing very, very well at the moment. See if I can hold one with my hand, and then I'll just pull the rest for me. So here's the new added purple wire. This is the connector for my speakers. This is the one that came in new. So the only thing missing right now, it's just to make sure that this one here is not spinning on itself. And this side was actually a lot easier to do than the opposite side for some strange reason. But all I have to do now is line up this this rubber plug, so that the inside is as sealed as possible. Okay, so that's that plugged, and I got the three wires on my side. And the next thing I'm going to do is put the stop bobbins. The small stop bobbin is the one that goes near the edge of the door, where you have the handle to open the door from the outside. The long stop bobbin is the one that is behind the handle on the inside. So the long stop bobbin is closer to the hinge, and the short stop bobbin is the one further away from the hinge. So in order to align them, I have a different video showing how I align them, but in this case all I'm going to do is just align them with the markings of where the washers used to be. That may not be the most accurate location for them, but it should be good enough to get me started and have the window working. So the next thing that I'm doing is just to fit the bracket for the stop bobbin from this side, and this is a awkward one to fit in. Now one thing that I could do actually was to just remove these two rivets and then pull out the whole handle mechanism to do this. Re-riveting is not that difficult. It's actually a very easy task once you have the tool. But I just don't want to do that, so I make my own life harder, and I make filming of it also a little bit harder. So the easiest way to tighten these is to use a ratchet ring. Well, there's quite a lot of play here, and because I can't actually see where it used to be, I'm just going to fit it halfway in. So that is the stop bobbins done, so moving on to the next thing. Right, and the next thing that I'm going to do now is to fit the bobbins back into the glass. What I need to do is plug the battery back in and raise the window a little bit. I need to raise the window enough for this stop bobbin nut to be within the clearance that I have here, and then I also need to raise it so that I can fit my screwdriver through here. So let's try to get that lined up. So I'm using the old bobbins, but I have new stainless steel screws. So the next thing is to connect this lever here so that the door doesn't open too much. So the next thing to do is to fit these three pieces. What I need to do is to fit the carpet lining fluffy thingy first. This is riveted onto the fiberglass. The next thing is the rubber cover. I don't really know the purpose of this rubber cover, but I do know that the plastic of the interior trimming goes in it, so this just kind of connects the plastic and then makes sure that the plastic from the interior doesn't rub against the glass, which it wouldn't because of the carpety thing. And then there's this rail which goes on top of the rubber, and it's screwed down onto the carpet rail, and that holds the plastic down, or the rubber down. So I'm going to rivet the first one, then place the other two, screw everything together, and move on with it. Okay, before actually fitting this, there's a rivet here that I need to drill out. I'm going to do that first and then fitting everything. One thing to do when fitting this little carpet strip is that if you're unsure which holes are made for the rivets and which holes are supposed to be there for the screws of the rail, you just line up the rail, and then you know that the holes that are not matching are the rivet holes. And because I'm very forgetful, I'm gonna just keep the rail here and check regularly. Right, so that is the riveting job done. The next thing is to put the rubber and then screw everything. So the rubber goes in this direction, and then ultimately the door cards will fit in this hole. I'm just going to place this with I think this is concave, with a part that bends like this down. Align everything and find some screws. I'm gonna get some new screws, stainless, and start putting everything together. Yeah, now I'm going to install the support pads for the inner side of the door. The outer side never were removed, so didn't need to do anything about it. So it's just this, easy enough job. Now I'm going to fit the door handle with brand new stainless steel bolts, and afterwards just the handle actually plastic with another stainless steel bolt. Well, in order to close the door I need the latches in place, so I'm working on that next. So at this point I just leave this latch a little bit wobbly so that I can close the door and then align it perfectly and then tighten the screws. I've just realized that I installed the end bit in the opposite direction, so I just need to rotate that. So the final thing is just to put the interior of the door back together now, but I'm going to actually do that as part of a different video, because in order to put the interior of the door I need to do that after I have the wing mirrors painted, and I don't have the wing mirrors painted yet, so I don't want to put the interior to then take it out and then put it back in because of the wing mirrors wiring, so I will leave that for a different video. And that's all that I have as far as the door installation. I've not shown you anything about the locks for security reasons, and that is it, pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. In the next video you can expect to see the A-post panel. Should be a quick one, but you never know. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.